Om Shanti. Today Baba is telling us not to be attached to any bodily being. And you see that we all come from a world where we've been vicious for many births, and now we understand the difference between vices and virtues. And now we understand that vices are a poison, a sweet poison. So when the vices taste sweet, but then they damage you. So that's the nature of vice. A vice is like a sweet poison that tastes sweet but kills. So, and now that we have the knowledge, we understand, and we are making the effort to be viceless, and we are making the effort to take the power from Baba, yoga power, so that we can conquer our vices. But attachment to a bodily being is a very dangerous thing, because you see, a bodily being is a vicious being. Every soul in this world right now is in its last birth, whether they came in the beginning or in the middle or in the end, but they are all in the last birth, and every soul is vicious. And anybody who is vicious, is not a master of himself. Every vicious soul is a slave of his vices. Vices make you a slave. And even though the soul is pure, so every soul is essentially pure, but under the influence of vice, every soul becomes very selfish, and they become servile and subservient to their vices. And then they dance at the tune of their vices. So the vices can make a soul do anything and everything. And that's the condition of every soul in the world. And Baba says that, and if you see, all our relationships are based on a contract which guarantees an exchange of vice. So basically, vicious souls are taking the supply of their, they are satisfying themselves through relationships. So in some relationships, there is a contract of lust. In some relationships, there is a contract of greed. They are after your money. There are some relationships which are after your emotional, your emotional juice. So they are feeding off on your emotional juice. That's the emotions of the soul. So those are relationships where the contract is that of attachment. Then there is some which are based on ego, so feeding of ego. So I scratch your back, you scratch mine. That kind of relationships are also there. So the thing is, when we belong to Baba, and I understand that these vices are poison, the sweet poison, then what do? You stop giving everybody what they are expecting in the contract. So you stop feeding their lust, their greed, their attachment, their ego. And then what happens? Then those relationships get those souls who are in those relationships, they start getting very angry. So have you seen that? So those very souls who until yesterday claimed that they love you a lot, today they get very angry because their supply of vice is stopped. And it's all about this supply of vice. So basically, in this vicious world, there is a hidden, unwritten contract of mutual supply of vices in every relationship. And basically, any vicious soul cannot think straight. They are thinking, everything they do, their thinking, their actions, their care, their everything is dictated by the vice. And when that supply of vice stops, they go mad. So that's what happens. And then what happens is, if you are attached to such a soul who is under the influence of vices, then that becomes very difficult for you, because then their suffering or their pain, because they are not getting that supply of vice, starts to affect you. And then you are also not able to be on your path. And I always think about Brahmin souls who are attached to bodily beings as somebody who is trying to climb a mountain, but they have their backs tied with a rope, and that rope is the other end of the rope is with the person who is standing down there. So you are trying to go to Baba, but then you are tied with a rope, the rope of attachment, and the string of that rope is with the person, that bodily being who is vicious. And every time they pull the string, you go down. That's your condition. So Baba says this is why it is very important that you don't have any attachment to any bodily being, because bodily beings are vicious, and a vicious person is very selfish. Anybody who is vicious is very selfish. So I think that the 5 vices, lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed, all have an undertone of selfishness. So selfishness is a very big vice. And when you're body conscious, you're very selfish because you're empty. So when you're empty, all that matters is your gratification. And that gratification has to come from the relationship, right? So when that gratification is not happening, then this person goes absolutely mad because a vicious person is very, very selfish, and then they would do anything to bring you to that place where you quench their vice. So this is, and when you have attachment, they are able to pull you and derail you from your path. So this is why it is very important that we don't have attachment with bodily beings. And even if it is another Brahmin, even if they are on the same path, but every Brahmin also has their individual journey, and sometimes they will be okay, so they will be on the same page with you. Sometimes they will have their own fall and rise, and in those moments also, when they are falling, they have lost clarity of the path, they will pull you. So that's the condition. So no bodily being, even if it is a Brahmin at this time, they are not they are not consistent on the path. So Brahmins are also falling and rising. So Baba says you should not have any attachment to any bodily being whatsoever. Just have attachment with one Baba, and the sign of attachment is remembrance. So when you are attached to somebody, you remember them. So if you remember bodily beings, that means there is attachment. And the one you remember is able to influence you. That's the thing. If you don't think about somebody, they cannot influence you. So do you understand that you have an inner world, and the soul, so anything happening in the outer world cannot affect you if it cannot enter your inner world. And how does anything enter your inner world? When you think about it. Yes, so when you attach your mind to something, when you remember someone, something, when you think about them, it's then that they start affecting you, influencing you. And when you have attachment, you remember vicious beings, and then they start influencing you. So Baba says that there shouldn't be any attachment to bodily beings, and the sign of attachment is remembrance. So Baba says you must not remember any bodily being, and you must remember only one Baba, because Baba is the purifier, Baba is the liberator from sorrow, and Baba is the one who takes us from degradation to salvation. So Baba is the one who we need at this time. We are in the abyss, we have fallen enough, now we only want to rise. So Baba says Baba is the only one who can pull us upwards, and this is why there should only be attachment to Baba and only remembrance of Baba. And even when so I've seen that in this journey as an instrument, there are so many souls who come with so many problems, and they are suffering, they are in pain, they are in emotional pain, they are in financial pain, they are in so much of pain. And then what is the reason? The reason is again, this attachment to people, places and things. And Baba says you must also teach everybody to remember Baba. Not just you remember Baba, but also ask everybody, or teach everybody that you are a soul and you have to remember Baba. You have to be in this old world, but you have to remember Baba. And remove your attachment from people, places and things, because people, places and things in the world are impure, and anything impure can only give you sorrow, and everything is giving you sorrow because you are attached to them. So teach everybody to how to seat themselves on the seat of self-respect, and how to remember Baba, because that is the key to peace and happiness. That is the key to productivity and success also. So Baba says you have to remember Baba, you have to remove your attachment from everyone and everything, and also teach everybody to do that, because this is the only method to rise in this world. And if you have not done that inner work yourself, can you tell anybody else to remember Baba? Because you see, have you seen that people enjoy watching serials and television and films and other stuff, and they love to cry watching that, because everybody identifies with their own pain and trauma. And do you know what do we love to watch? We love to watch those same things which trigger the trauma from which we are experiencing pain. So Baba says that if you have that trauma inside, if you have that pain inside, if you have that attachment and sorrow inside, then you will not be able to remove the other person from that, because when they share their story with you, your attachment, your pain will get triggered. Yes, so you will not be able to give them objective direction, because when somebody talks about us suffering in a relationship and you are not over your suffering in your relationship and you are still attached to the person, then how can you liberate them from their suffering? So Baba says, first you have to clean your inner world, and then you have to understand that you are just a soul and yours is just one Baba. And when you are in that remembrance, you will be able to lift others also. And Baba today in the Murli says, don't waste your time, because you have to show the path to many. And I will read that out to you. Baba says, you children mustn't waste your time. Day by day, your lifespan is getting shorter. Destruction is just ahead. If you become careless, you will have to have great repentance. By wasting your time in gossiping, you cause yourself a lot of damage. You have to save others. Do you understand that? Yesterday also I was pointing this out, that nobody in the world knows the method to save others. Only we know the method of how to understand I am a soul and how to remember Baba. That's the only method to save a soul. And Baba says you have to do this work. You have to remind everybody, you have to make them experience that they are a soul and theirs is one Baba and none other, and they have to remember Baba. And Baba says you have to save others. Human beings are unable to make others meet the Father. Instead, they divert them even further away from the Father. Human beings are not making anybody meet the Father. Human beings, those who are under the influence of vices, they are diverting others away from the Father. Now, how do you meet the Father? So there are 3 necessary conditions to meet the Father and experience the Father's canopy. First is knowing the Father. Second is being a yogi. And third is being pure. Yes, knowledge, yoga and purity. This is what takes us close to Baba, because Baba is in the other dimension. Baba is so in order to feel close to Baba, we have to have yoga. I have to sit in silence and reflect on my nature as a soul and feel that connection with Baba. So I have to have yoga. I have to have purity, because without purity it is not possible to detach from this impure world. So do you think that anybody in the world encourages yoga and purity? No, nobody. You wake up at 4 in the morning, people will say you will fall ill if you wake up at 4 in the morning. They will not encourage you getting up at Amrit Vela and meditating. I have seen many people, their family members will say that if you are falling ill or anything, you see, in Kali Yuga, the health will always go up and down. But then when the family members see anything up and down, they will say, you are going through this suffering or ill health because you are meditating in the morning. So everybody will try to remove your yoga from Baba. Nobody will encourage you for purity, whether it is impure lifestyle, impure food. People will always encourage you for impurity. Now Baba says, you are the only people, you're the only souls who encourage other souls to be pure, to be yogi, and you give the knowledge that makes them be a yogi and be pure. So Baba says, you don't have to waste your time. You have to understand that there is a lot of tasks to be performed by you. And Baba says that if you keep gossiping, then who will give the knowledge? And what is gossip? What is gossip? And so when Baba says don't gossip, in Hindi, Baba uses a very nice word, jharmui jhagmui. And Baba says jharmui jhagmui means gossip. And Baba says don't gossip. So when we say don't gossip, what does it mean by not gossiping? Not gossiping means not saying words which do not take the other soul closer to Baba. So whenever you are talking to anybody, you must understand that your words should be in Baba's remembrance and they should take the other soul closer to Baba. They should take the other soul closer to self-realization and closer to the remembrance of Baba. When you leave that conversation, that soul should feel closer to Baba. That soul should feel that, I am in control, I am in power. That is the kind of conversation that Baba encourages. Baba doesn't say that you don't talk. Baba says don't gossip. There is a difference. And have you seen that Janki Dadiji used to talk so much and she used to always keep sharing and giving classes and making others understand. But why? Baba had given her this blessing that whenever you talk, others will keep quiet. And this was a blessing from Shiv Baba himself. Why? Because it is very necessary that Brahmins talk. But Brahmins should talk in a way that every soul around you comes closer to self-realization and God realization. So Baba says this is the task you have to do. That is why don't spend your time in gossip. Don't spend your time remembering worldly people and talking about worldly matters. That is not what we do. We remember Baba and we talk about spiritual matters. And Baba says that no human being is going to show the path to other human beings. You are the only ones who will bring them closer to Baba. So this is one thing. And then Baba says that you children have now received knowledge, and so you mustn't perform any sinful acts. You mustn't hide anything. You know that we have been committing sin for birth after birth. If after belonging to the Father, you still continue to commit sin, what would others say? They would say, you say that God is teaching you and yet you continue to commit sin. If you commit sin and don't tell Baba, that burden will not decrease, and that habit will then become firm. Now, we have to understand that Baba is counting on us to create a world free from sins. Yes, a pure world. And Baba says that you must not commit any sin now. What is a sin? A sin is an act performed under the influence of vices. So, whenever I am body conscious or there is any vice attacking the soul, then every thought, word, and act done under the influence of that vice is a sin. And Baba says, now you don't have to perform sinful actions. And Baba says that if you hide something, now let's understand this thing. You know, whatever you hide will always grow. Yes, so, and I will tell you one thing. So, there was this one brother, and he once told me that, Didi, you know, I have this habit of drinking, and I am not able to leave that habit. So, I asked him, what is the biggest challenge that you face in leaving that habit? So, he told me that I drink alone, and because I drink alone, so there is nobody to stop me. So had I been drinking in a group, maybe, you know, somebody, if I told somebody that I'm suffering from ill health or something, they would stop me. But the thing is, I drink and nobody knows it, and that's why nobody can stop me. And this is a very interesting thing to know, because you see, when you do something on the sly, when you do something and nobody knows about it, then there is a greater chance that that habit will grow. And this is why Baba says that if you do something on the sly, if you do something secretly, then that habit will increase multifold. Yes, because that habit nobody can stop from increasing, because as soon as you are alone, you will start engaging in that habit. So Baba says that it is very important. So I think, and I have understood this in Gyan, that if you want to really be viceless, if you really want to win over Maya, then it is very important that you get into the practice of maintaining a chart every day, submitting an honest chart to Baba. And this practice helps us a lot. So if you have made it a practice to honestly submit a chart to Baba, then you will know that today if I do this thing, if I do this sinful act, then I will have to write it down in the chart. And that will help you to overcome that habit. Because if you're not honest with Baba, if you're just keeping everything under the wraps and under the carpet, then it will become very difficult to get over those habits. So honesty with Baba is a very good method to get over your habits, sinful habits. And Baba says that this honesty cannot be practiced like, you know, today I was sinful, so I will tell it to Baba. No, it doesn't work like that. So if you have this practice of giving a chart, submitting a chart to Baba every night, then this practice will help you refrain from sinful action. And Baba says, if you don't take up this habit, take up this practice, then those sinful habits will grow by leaps and bounds every day. So this is something. If you don't want your sins to become a habit, then you must practice honesty with Baba. So this is one thing. And then Baba today says, a thief continues to steal, so he can't think of anything except stealing. He is called a jailbird. The father explains to you children. So you see that it is not that if you don't overcome the habit, then when it becomes a habit, you commit a sin and you are not honest with Baba, and that sin becomes a habit, then even if you want to get over the habit one day, it will become very difficult, because that is all you know. Even if you want to overcome it, you don't know better, you can't do better. So Baba says, a thief also, he steals and then he ends up in jail, and there he promises, I will not go and steal anything anymore. But then again he comes out and steals. Why? Because that is all he knows. That's why Baba says, we must make effort to take care that our sins don't become habits. And and I think that after becoming a Brahmin, there is an activation of conscience. So our conscience was sleeping all this while in bhakti, and when we become Brahmins, so our conscience gets activated, and an activated conscience has the power to overcome old habits. But if after becoming a Brahmin, we don't use the power of this activated conscience and don't get over old habits, but we continue performing those sins, then in Brahmin life, when these sins become a habit, then it becomes very difficult to overcome. And then Baba says we will also end up being a jailbird. So do you understand that we had been performing sins for so long, but now there is an opportunity to have this relationship with Baba, take the power of honesty, take the power of Baba's directions, take the power of promise with Baba, and overcome the sins. But if after belonging to Baba we don't take this opportunity and we continue to be dishonest and continue to be sinful on the sly, then these sins will become a habit here also. And then it will become absolutely very difficult to overcome this. So this is something that Baba says. And then Baba talks about gossip, and Baba says that, Baba says that if someone gossips about you, with you about useless matters, instead of reminding you of the Father, consider that one to be your enemy. So in the first instance, Baba talked about we not gossiping with anybody. But now Baba says, if somebody is gossiping with you, somebody is talking about useless matters with you, then consider that one to be your enemy. Why enemy? Enemy, do we hate our enemy? So is Baba saying hate that person? No. We are the children of the ocean of love. We don't know how to hate. So when we see an enemy, what do? We are just careful and aware. So when we see somebody who is not good for my spiritual health, so I just am aware and alert in their presence, that I don't keep my ears open and don't pay attention to what they are saying. And then Baba says that only a few will pass with honors. Those who don't do service will not reach that stage. So Baba today says that if you don't do service, you will not be karmatit. you will not reach that karmatit stage, because there are 4 subjects, yes, and you have to pass in all 4. So there is knowledge, there is purity, there is yoga, but there is also seva. So if we don't do seva, then we are not going anywhere. So Baba says that's why seva is very important. And then Baba today says that a lot of practice is required to stay in yoga. No matter how much noise there may be during yoga, even if there are earthquakes or bombs are dropped, you mustn't be afraid of those things. Just look what happens nowadays. You know that rivers of blood are going to flow in Bharat alone. So do you understand that the peacetime yoga that we are doing is not all? So do you understand that the meditation that we do right now in these times is basically peacetime meditation? So you're getting up at Amrit Vela and you're meditating in quiet time, and there is no sound, there is nobody to disturb you. But this is practice meditation. And why are we practicing in quiet time? Because we want to apply this yoga power when there are bombs and earthquakes going off. So do you understand that we have to have that kind of yoga power, that when there are earthquakes happening and bombs are going off, we are completely undisturbed and in this connection with Baba, in our peaceful, pure, happy, loveful, divine state. So Baba says, this peacetime yoga is a practice yoga. So when we are practicing in Amrit Vela, when we are practicing yoga for 8 hours, 6 hours, whatever, we have to understand that these practice sessions are for accumulating the power that makes us ready for the times to come. It's not like we always have to keep meditating in that same peaceful environment. Baba says, you have to have such yoga power that when earthquakes and bombs are dropped, then also you mustn't be afraid. So you must have the courage and the strength from Baba in such magnitude that these big events are also not able to disturb your yoga. So Baba says, do you understand that rivers of blood are going to flow in Bharat alone? When there was partition, rivers of blood flowed, did they not? Many calamities are yet to come. You will have to see how there will be death for the prey and happiness for the hunter. You are becoming angels, and we have to finish all our sins, all our karmic accounts with this yoga power. We have to be stripped off of all the grossness inside us, and the angel within has to emerge. And only when we have become angels through practicing yoga, then only we will be in a state where we will be uninfluenced by calamities which will come in the end. So Baba says, you have to understand the aim and develop that kind of yoga power. Okay.